Hey, so it's Paul Baker doing the M57 Defender conversion. Just doing a couple of videos about the air intake, exhaust manifold. We had to weld up because we found that cracked. Uh, Injector faults. So we went through that sort of process. I've made a couple of random videos up and just chucked them all together because I just been recording footage. So we made a oil catch can. Well, I didn't make it. We made the brackets and everything and the plate to go on top of the engine. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Just do a couple of part videos and see how it turns out. Hopefully it makes sense. Hey, so had a couple of issues. I've had the Land Rover on the road for a bit. It's been running all right-ish, but I noticed on a cold start sometimes there's a little bit of smoke and a little rough idle. No, not rough idle, just a tiny misfire. Suspecting one of the injectors have gone down on it. So I've been driving around. It goes really well, Land Rover M57. Been driving it for a couple of weeks. Goes well. So anyway, thinking that I got a injector fault because it's kind of white smoke coming out. So first things first, gonna do a compression test on it, just in case the injectors are overcompensating for a low compression cylinder. That's what I'm going for first without wasting any time. Halfway through it, well, nearly all the way through it. We've got about 330 cylinder 1, 340 cylinder 2, 333, 340 number 4. First time round on number 4, it came up 200. So that made me a bit nervous, but then I did it again, and I think it was the seal on top of the compression tester here. So cylinder 5 is at 380, so a little bit higher than the rest. Suspecting it may have diesel down in the cylinder. Just giving it high compression. Hopefully it's not going to lock up. But that was my main worry anyway, with the injectors leaking into the cylinder. You can hydro lock, and if it dumps all the fuel in at once, if it finally lets go, you can bend a rod then, which we don't want. So yeah, basically got this so far. Let's do number 6. Basically got a little adapter, goes into your glow plugs. Glow plugs are pretty stiff coming out, so best thing to do is run it around the block a couple of times, get it up to running temp. The engine's hot. When it's up to running temp, then I just got one of these compression testers. I've had this one for years. It's awesome. All the different fittings, different threads, but find the one most like your same seat as your glow plugs, and then make sure you catch it properly first. Don't advise using these, but I don't tighten it, I just screw it in. And just get a little ratchet and nip it up. Literally nip it up, don't over tighten them. And we pop on our gauge. Sorry about this terrible camera work. Pop a gauge on. Rest him up there for a minute. I've disconnected all the injectors before we do it, because we don't want it starting up while we're doing a compression test. We're just going to spin it over a couple of revolutions. I think I've been using 7 for this test, 7 revolutions, you can hear it. And what are we on? That's almost on 400. That's high as well. So number 5 and 6 are higher. So 4. It's quite a difference. Quite a difference between cylinder 1 and cylinder 6. It's not a massive difference. They're all pretty healthy, but the two, cylinder 5 and 6, I reckon there's that may be our injector problem there. Like I say, 40. It's only 40 psi between 4 and 5. It's not massive. I've done a leak back test as well. I'll try and get the results of that. But yeah, what are we looking at? Cylinder 6, 330. So 70 psi. It's quite a step up. Right, it could be leaking back, but it's not exactly 400. It may be, that's like 390. Anyway, they're not miles apart. Still got good compression. I was looking for something more like you know, big steps, like, you know, 50 psi in a cylinder or something like that. I didn't think it would be because the engine pulls hard. There's no big misfire, but there was a little misfire at cold start. I've also got oil, a lot of oil in the manifold. Thinking the turbo may be on its way. Got to investigate that as well. That could be something to do with my issue as well. But I'm definitely thinking injectors are on their way, so I'll let you know the results later on. So did all the compressions all again. I had to do them all again. I was doing my head in. So done them all again. We got 380, 380, 380. Cylinder 4 is 360. That's our lowest. It says did twice. Did twice. 240 first. It says on there. There's a problem. The switch on the gauge. See that there? See it leaking? So that's what was happening. I was coming back round to it, and then the gauge was dropping like that because this little switch. So just be careful of them. I haven't used this for a while, but that was my problem. It was giving me dodgy readings. So yeah, that's why it was 240. I was checking it and it just stopped leaking. So I've done all the tests again. We got 380, 380, 380, 360 for cylinder 4 now, cylinder 5 380, and cylinder 6 400. And then you just work out an average of all the cylinders, and then work out 10%, because you should have about no more than 10% between cylinders. This one's tiny bit over 10% by 2 psi, which I reckon if I'd done a reading again I could probably get it up to 2 psi, so I'm not worried about that. That's pretty good. All good readings for you know, an engine with this amount of Ks on. So 10% was 38, and between 360 and 400, I think it was just under 400 anyway, but I just said 400. So we're all within specs for our compression. So the engine's good, the engine's healthy. I can just concentrate on that smoking issue, which I suspect is the injectors. Like I said, they'll take them all out and send them away, and then look into this turbo issue. If it ends up being a turbo which is leaking, looks like we're gonna have to get an upgraded turbo. Yeah, we'll get an upgraded turbo, I think. Get something a bit bigger and better for something that's tuned like this anyway. I don't know what's about on the market. I haven't really looked yet, so I'm gonna have a look around, see what's for sale. But yeah, we'll get back to you and let you know the results. Another little telltale, which I forgot to mention earlier. As you pull in the glow plugs out, just keep an eye on them, which cylinder they came from. I've noticed that one. These are going to be replaced anyway. You can see the tips of them they got carbon on them, but they look like they're almost breaking up in some places. They've distorted, and you don't want these dropping off any cylinders anyway. But the point I was making is this one's dry, number one. Number two, this one's also dry. See the little, I can't really see it in the video here. Can't really see the shape of them, but they kind of bent, which isn't good. Like I said, you don't want them breaking off. Number three, nice and dry again. Same sort of thing. See the shape on it? It's like twisted. Number four, that's also dry. Number five, I've wiped a bit off this, but that's wet. So that could be a telltale of a leak injector. It could be anything, but more than likely diesel on it. Looks like diesel. And number six is the same. See, it's a bit wet. And all the carbon bits on it. So, yeah, could also be oil. Like I said, I got oil in the intake, so it could be oil, but it doesn't appear to be. But yeah, that's another little check you can do. I'll also do the same when I pull the injectors out. As I pull the injectors out, I'll put them all out 1 to 6, all in order. And you may see the tips on them. Some of them may be pissing out, some of them may be, yeah. So if there's a pool of diesel in it, that could be another telltale. Yeah, we'll go from there. Just going to use the next bit of footage now as my part 2, and then part 3 and 4 and so on. Happy days.